Hi there. Some of the best pieces of lost media are controversial or disturbing. Things that have been suppressed over their bad taste, public outrage, or just via censorship. So let's dive right into the deep end with the lost media surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and what might be the most blatant cover-up in American history.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Epstein was arrested on July 9th, 2019, housed at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. 3 weeks prior to his death, Epstein made his first reported attempt on his own life. The official story is that he would have been successful had his cellmate, Nicholas Tartaglione, a former cop awaiting trial for 4 drug-related killings, not intervened. But Epstein denied this, saying he was attacked by Tartaglione. To prove his innocence, the cellmate requested the video footage of the camera closest to their shared cell. At first, it was reported that the video was preserved, but it was later confirmed that the MCC inadvertently preserved the video for the wrong tier within the MCC, and the video no longer exists. The court documents read, "After reviewing the video, it appeared to the government that the footage contained on the preserved video was for the correct date and time, but captured a different tier than the one where Epstein was located, because the preserved video did not show correctional officers responding to any of the cells seen on the video. And even though they never checked the footage to see what actually happened, Tartaglione was removed from the cell, and Epstein was left alone while still being considered a risk to himself, requiring guards to check on him every 30 minutes. 3 weeks later, on August 10th, 2019, at 6:30 a.m., Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell. Given Epstein's connections to some of the highest levels of global power, the majority of Americans do not believe this is a straightforward case of so after years of outcry demanding proof of what really happened, in July 2025, the Trump administration finally gave the people what they wanted. Or at least that's what they wanted you to think. Rather than the footage right outside Epstein's cell that Kash Patel promised,
you're going to get the video of the cell, and you're going to see for yourself.
The DOJ released a 10-hour video of the prison's entrance, where you can barely make out the staircase leading to Epstein's cell. It turns out that while the prison had many cameras, including a camera in Epstein's cell block, none of them were recording, only streaming live video to a control room. The recording system had reportedly stopped working 10 days before Epstein died, official documents calling it a catastrophic disk failure, and that the backup files were erased as a result of technical errors. Don't worry, things are just going to get more convenient from here. In this 10-hour-long video, there is a full minute of lost footage. At exactly 11:58 and 58 seconds on August 9th, 2019, the tape skips a full minute to midnight the next day. And for some reason, following this time jump, the aspect ratio changes. To make things worse, this video was promoted as raw footage of Epstein's prison, but upon examination of the video's metadata, it shows that the footage was modified in Adobe Premiere Pro. The video was assembled from 2 separate clips, saved multiple times, exported, then uploaded to the DOJ website as, quote, raw footage. Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to the minute of lost footage, saying the DVR system they're using loses a minute of video each night. But this justification was proven to be a lie in the most recent dump of Epstein documents, where we got the full video without the minute of missing footage. But again, there's a catch. Not only is it in noticeably lower quality than the last video, but the file had all of its metadata scrubbed. If they had nothing to hide, why delete this data? While these last 2 instances of lost media related to Epstein's death are fascinating with major implications, there is nothing more important than the Epstein files yet to be released to the public. In the lead up to Trump's second term, many of his officials were calling for the release of the Epstein files, particularly his client list, a theorized list of everyone who participated in Epstein's trafficking ring. The administration would release more documents, but it was mostly just stuff that was already public. A running excuse is that the government doesn't want to ruin people's lives who were just connected to Epstein, but not his crimes, or publicly reveal the victims. But this would prove to be just that, an excuse. When it was later reported that the Justice Department went through the documents and found Trump's name was all over them. The administration of course denied this, but it was basically confirmed when a book compiled by Epstein's partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, for Epstein's 50th birthday was released to the public, containing birthday letters from some of the most powerful people in the world. This book was part of the larger Epstein files, and proves that the administration is not being selective with what they make to the public to protect victims, but to protect the president and other powerful elites. Showing just how deep this rabbit hole goes, in the 238-page Epstein birthday book, some of the birthday letters make reference to a suppressed Vanity Fair article that portrayed Epstein in a negative light. This altered article is believed to be 2003's The Talented Mr. Epstein by Vicky Ward. Ward was an early accuser of Epstein and wanted to inform the wider public, given his connection to the rich and powerful. But through these same connections, he made sure the article was never public, something that is referenced multiple times in this book. There are just layers upon layers of lost media, all surrounding the most blatant cover-up in American history. All this talk of government cover-up is enough to remind you that the world is not always a safe place. And the best way to protect yourself online is with today's sponsor, Aura. Part of this big scary world we all live in are data brokers. These are jerks who work behind the scenes to legally collect your personal information and sell it to the highest bidder, anyone from telemarketers all the way to full-blown scammers. Data brokers are required to remove your information if you ask, but they make the process as difficult as possible. This is where Aura has you covered. They take care of the hard part, automatically removing your information from these sites and keeping it off, helping you take back power from these companies that are selling your personal information for profit. And if that's not enough, Aura includes an all-in-one security system with a VPN, antivirus, password manager, provides real-time fraud alerts with US-based support, notifications if your information is found on the dark web, and $5 million in identity theft insurance protection if anything does happen. Aura has been the longest-running sponsor on this channel, and that's because it works. And you could try it for yourself, free for 14 days, by visiting aura.com/allthingslost. I'm not leaving myself vulnerable, and neither should you. Again, that's aura.com/allthingslost to try Aura free for 14 days.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Hello.
I'm home.
Directed by Juliet May and written by Jeff Atkinson, Heil Honey, I'm Home was a 1990 British sitcom infamous for its negative reception from viewers and critics, becoming one of the very few TV programs cancelled after a single episode, and considered among the worst pieces of television ever made. The show follows the Hitlers, living as a typical 1950s sitcom couple, next to their obnoxious Jewish neighbors, the Goldensteins. Ironically, the show is canonically lost, presented as an abandoned sitcom created by the fictional Brandon Thalberg Jr., a combination of 1930s film producer Irving Thalberg and the then head of NBC, Brandon Tartikoff. 8 episodes were filmed and ready to go, while upwards of 20 more were in various stages of production. But after its disastrous first airing on September 30th, 1990, that critics called offensive, unfunny, and exceeding the limits of irony, the series was immediately cancelled. The pilot episode that did air had the British Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, visiting the Hitlers, while the Goldensteins are constantly interrupting the meeting. The unaired episodes would have included Reinhard Heydrich and Joseph Stalin as reoccurring characters, and there was even a planned Christmas special, where Hermann Göring would have made an appearance. Jesus Christ, a Hitler Christmas special. Series writer Jeff Atkinson defended the show, calling it a satire meant to mock appeasement of Hitler while he was in power, but it just didn't translate well. Also noting that 3/4 of the cast were Jewish and didn't consider it to be controversial. But this sentiment was not shared with the larger Jewish community. Haman Piner, Secretary General of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, called the show in very bad taste, adding that "We are against any trivialization of the Second World War, Hitler, or the Holocaust, and this certainly trivializes those things. It's very distasteful and even offensive." The pilot episode has long been online, but the remaining episodes have never been seen by the public, though a few brief clips have been found in interesting ways. The actor who played Arnie Goldenstein, Gareth Marks, posted their acting reel to their personal website that included scenes from Heil Honey, I'm Home, some of which are from unspecified, unaired episodes. And for a long time, it seemed like there was no possibility that these unaired episodes would be released. But in 2016, the YouTube channel Paul Carmichael uploaded a previously unseen animated intro that would have been used in the series following its pilot episode. Carmichael divulged that after searching for the show for 15 years, he was finally able to obtain second-generation copies of the master tapes that included all 8 episodes, without naming his source. His plan was to work out some kind of big reveal for the episodes, maneuvering through legal hurdles to give Heil Honey, I'm Home the rollout it never got. But January 2026 will mark 10 years with no updates on a release for the series. It's presumed that Paul never got the rights to the episodes and has decided to keep them for himself, making this just another case of hoarded lost media. The only other individual known to have a copy is Irish comedy writer Arthur Matthews.
To you guys, he might be known as a rapper, but here in Atlanta, he's known for having 11 kids and 10 baby mamas.
All My Baby's Mamas. Shawty Lo was an Atlanta-based rapper, best known as a founding member of the hip-hop collective D4L, and their number one single, 2003's Laffy Taffy. Shawty Lo left the group in 2008 for a solo career, where he would release 2 studio albums and a prolific 15 mixtapes. Though he never matched the heights of Laffy Taffy, in 2013 he would once again receive mainstream attention with his new reality show, All My Baby's Mamas. Somehow, this was an Oxygen Network exclusive, and followed Shawty Lo with his 11 children, 9 daughters, 2 sons, and their 10 mothers. Production began in 2012 for a 2013 release, but ahead of its debut, the show began to gain controversy over its content. Author Sabrina Lamb started a petition writing, "They will not support any network and advertiser which exploits the plight of children and targets young women with stereotypical, dangerous, unsafe messages," believing that the show would promote stereotypical black families while glamorizing risky sexual behavior. Fox News even got in on the drama. Oxygen canceled the show in response to the backlash, never airing a single episode. After the show was dropped, Shawty Lo announced that other networks were interested, but nothing ever came of it. And just a few years later, Lo was killed in a car accident at age 40. His funeral was held at Jackson Memorial Baptist Church in Atlanta, and even in death, he was still supporting women, holding his service at his favorite strip club, the Blue Flame Lounge. Man, what a legend. No episodes of the show have been released in any form. The only footage of the show we have comes from a clip on Fox News. And I would be very interested in seeing how this show turned out. The pre-release controversy made it sound like it would be about Shawty Lo neglecting his kids and somehow negatively portraying their mothers, when it sounds like the show was about the impossible task of raising 11 children with 10 different co-parents and all the drama that goes along with it. Stereotypes fall apart when subject to reality. Even a dramatized version of this man's life is still this man's real life, his real lived experiences that others can connect to. Yeah, maybe All My Baby's Mamas was a crazy piece of trash that would have set culture back a couple decades, but unless someone somewhere leaks it, we'll probably never know. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is one of the darkest games I have ever played, and probably has the coolest name in all of fiction. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a 1995 point-and-click adventure game developed by Cyber Dreams and the Dreamers Guild, based on a short story of the same name by Harlan Ellison. Ellison is known for being extremely difficult to work with.
Are you going to be good?
No.
Let me say that another way. Are you going to be good?
Along with writing the best episode of the original Star Trek, The City on the Edge of Forever, the books A Boy and His Dog, and the terribly aged name, Repent Harlequin, said the TikTok man. Not the TikTok man. His works tend to involve brutally depressing dystopias, and I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is probably his most twisted. Set in the distant future, all of humanity has been wiped out by an all-powerful, immortal computer named Am, save for 5 people, Nimdoc, Ellen, Ted, Gorister, and Benny, that Am has artificially kept alive for the last 100 years with the intent of torturing them for all eternity, as a means of taking revenge on humanity for creating him. The video game is a rare adaptation that is more fleshed out than its source material, mainly due to Ellison writing and co-developing the game himself. Due to some technical limitations at the time, the structure of the story had to be changed. In the book, all 5 surviving humans interact with each other, but the game is structured as a standalone story for each character in virtual worlds designed by Am, forcing them to individually relive their worst nightmares and confront their deepest flaws. This framing device required Ellison to flesh out each character, providing explanations as to why Am chose to spare them and what they did to deserve it in his eyes, coming up with a 130-page script, all based on a 20-page short story. The game, just like the book, is famous for how incredibly dark and stomach-churning it is, but it was originally made to be even more messed up, and we have a few pieces of evidence to back this up. Before the game debuted, the British TV series Game Master did a special gore episode, showcasing shocking moments from games. The segment brought up I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, showing parts of the title that were not present in the final product. In Gorister's scenario, there were bodies hanging from hooks that are replaced by slabs of meat in the finished game. We can also see this poor sickly puppy that Gorister has to feed a human heart that he harvests from another character, and a scene where Benny is forced to eat a baby thrown throwing it up immediately. These are just a couple of the differences we could see in the show, and there are probably so many more that we will never get to see unless this early build of I have no mouth and I must scream gets released. Seriously Dude, I'm Gay. Seriously Dude, I'm Gay was an unreleased reality TV show meant to premiere as a 2-hour special in June 2004 on Fox. Seriously Dude, I'm Gay saw two straight guys competing to see who could live as the most convincing gay man. The contestants move in with gay roommates, frequent gay nightclubs, and come out to their friends and family. Each contestant is assigned 3 coaches called mentors to help them through life as a gay man and assist them with daily challenges. These included swimsuit modeling for gay men, going on blind dates where they have to convince the date to let them feed them and get the date to spank them, contests where they have to make the best gay face, naming their favorite gay porn actor, and one contestant had to tell their former wrestling teammates that they enjoyed the sport so much because they got to be in close contact with sweaty boys. Man, this sounds more like an episode of Impractical Jokers than anything else. At the end of the competition, the two would be judged by other gay men on how convincing they were. The most gay would win $50,000. Right away, even the show's promotional material was too controversial. The taglines, "This jury of their queers will decide which of the 2 guys they believe is actually gay," and "A heterosexual male's worst nightmare, turning gay overnight," were called out in particular. Just 4 hours after the press release, Fox issued a revised version, calling the original a failed attempt at humor. Following this faux pas, the queer advocacy group, GLAAD, were given an advanced copy of the pilot, deriding the show, calling it an exercise of systemic humiliation, with ludicrously sophomoric notions of what it is to be gay. Just 11 days before Seriously Dude, I'm Gay was set to premiere, on May 26th, GLAAD sat down with Fox executives to discuss the show. Just a few hours later, they announced the show's cancellation, citing creative issues. But The Advocate reported via an anonymous insider that the cancellation of the show was also a result of Fox executives believing the gay phenomenon was on the wane, citing the underperformance of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. But not everyone agreed with Fox's decision to shelve the project. Larry Anderson, a contestant on the show, cited Seriously Dude, I'm Gay as helping him get over his homophobic beliefs, saying, "I think the show showed that stereotypes people have aren't true. I realize that there's no way to act gay. You are just your normal self." That definitely came out in the show. And I think it's important to understand the political climate when the show was meant to come out. In the previous month, May 2004, Massachusetts became the first state to legalize marriage equality. The queer community was in the public eye more than ever, and any negative depiction, no matter how well-meaning, could severely damage their fight for a freedom as basic as marriage. And even with a notably higher rate of positive LGBTQI+ representation and a growing movement for freedom in the 2000s, in 2008, California, one of the most progressive states in the country, voted against gay marriage. This was a time when the queer community was fighting for the most basic of rights, and media representation was slowly moving the needle in the right direction. So a show like Seriously Dude, I'm Gay might not seem like a big deal now, but a negative portrayal of being gay on a major network in 2004 could realistically have a negative impact on their fight for freedom. That being said, 20 years later, I think it's time we see Seriously Dude, I'm Gay. If anything, just to mock it for being as bad as they said it was. Thank you so much for watching. This video was made because of viewer suggestions, so if you have a topic you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. And a big shout out to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/allthingslost, including Miss Dana, Vinny Cataldo, Can You Say Rocco Mafleur, and our 2 newest members, Michael Blount and Matt Lager. Thank you all so much. This is Mike with All Things Lost. I'll see you soon.